All right. Hey there, my collecting brothers and sisters. What collecting by eye appeal instead of grade number looks like. But let's start by focusing on the numbers. 6, 6, 6. Oh, that's a bad omen. Maybe we should not be focusing on the numbers. All right, let's move away from the eschatological implications of those numbers, and let's move back into Hobbyland, focusing on the numbers 5.5, 2.5, 6, 4, and finally 4.5. These are all of my cards at present of Super Chief. It wasn't enough to be the Chief, Super Chief. By the way, if your nickname is Super Chief, if that is the moniker you are known by, then you should automatically get into the Hall of Fame. Super Chief was one vote away from making the Hall. Now, let's move away from focusing on the numbers. Let's focus on the eye appeal. I'm not showing the back, but the backs are gorgeous, with one exception that, well, you might find to be gorgeous, or you might not, but we'll get to that in a minute. I mean, do you see anything here on this 54 Bowman Super Chief that you find to be distracting? What about this 49 Bowman Super Chief? Anything distracting to you? Condition-wise? What about this 53 Bowman Super Chief? See if we can get some focus going on here. Absolutely beautiful. What about this 50 Bowman Super Chief? There we go. I guess I needed to come in a little bit here. Back to the 53 Bowman. And the 50 Bowman. Man, I just love that card. And the 51 Bowman. The 55 Bowman. That card is so stunning. 54 Topps. And finally, 51 Topps. All right, which of these cards in your estimation does not belong, because it just doesn't match the look of the others in terms of condition? Well, let's pick on this one. This is the lowest grade, so what is this doing in a collection where for the rest of the cards, the average grade is higher than 5? This is less than half of that in a 2.5. So why is this card in my Allie Reynolds collection? It doesn't belong, right? Well, it doesn't belong by grade number, but I'm collecting by eye appeal. And look at that eye appeal. Could the centering, how much better could the centering be? Go take a look online. Look at some 51 Bowman Allie Reynolds. See what sort of registration you find on, the ones you can find for sale. This is absolutely spot on registration. What about the corners? How much sharper could those corners possibly be? I mean, what about the vibrancy of the color here? Any distracting toning? Any wrinkles? It turns out, by the way, there are no wrinkles no wrinkles in the cardstock here. So does this card belong? Is it worthy of this Allie Reynolds collection? Based on the grade number, no. Based on the eye appeal, I mean, it's easily holding its own. I mean, you could make an argument based on the front of the card. You could make the argument that this is the best conditioned card out of all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of all 8. You could make the argument this is the best conditioned card, and it's less than half the average grade. All right, a great question to ask would be, what about the backs? How much do we care about the backs? What about the back of this card? Now, I can tell you all of the other cards, there's nothing distracting on the back. But let's take a look at the back of this Allie Reynolds and see what we find. All right, so here we have the back. And you can see on the left edge there, like, what is going on there? Something's going on there. There's no tape on the card, but you can see, on the upper part of the left edge, it looks like the ridges of a piece of tape. I don't know if this card was maybe laying on top of another card that was taped. I don't know if somebody was able to remove the tape from this card. But notice the color. You've got the ink is strong, and it has not been removed where you see that stain. So there's a stain. So this card has a stain on the back. But it's a cardboard back. So how much do we really care about whether or not, there's a stain of this nature on a cardboard back? Does that matter to us? Or does it actually add to the vintage appeal, where we might even like it better, or it might not bother us a single bit? I mean, what do I want from the back? I like the sharp corners. I don't care too much about back centering, but this has nice back centering. I don't like any wrinkles, any significant wrinkling or creasing. I would prefer to avoid. I like the ink to be strong, not faded or weak from being printed when not enough ink was transferred to the card. The ink is quite strong here. So the back has everything I could ever want. So from my perspective, the back of this card is, as nice as I would ever want. I would liken it to, let's say you've got a dresser, and let's say if you pull out one of the drawers, and you pull it all the way out of the dresser, and let's say on the bottom of that drawer, which you never see, or on one of the sides of that drawer that you never see without pulling the drawer out of the dresser, there's some little imperfection or crack or something. I mean, how much does that matter compared to as long as the integrity of the dresser is intact, as long as, the board is not compromised where it could break? How much does that matter relative to what the outside of the dresser looks like, whether it has gouges or other problems? And I would argue that for a card with essentially a cardboard back, the front is like the part of the furniture that is finished and that we see, and we care about how it looks, usually, unless, it's an old piece of furniture and we're just not worried about it. But we generally, if we care about how that exterior looks, the part that we see, the part that we view, the part that when we walk into the room meets our eye. We don't really care if there's some mark. I've had dressers where the drawers were marked with a permanent pen, so that underneath drawer number 1 was the marking of a 1, so that you could, if you took the drawers out, you'd know how to put them back so they fit perfectly. I didn't care about those marks. So what does it look like to collect by grade, by eye appeal instead of grade? I didn't get these cards here because they're 6s. I got them because they have fantastic eye appeal and they happen to be 6s. Now, in fairness, for somebody like Allie Reynolds, I didn't have to pay too much for 6s by being patient. For somebody like Yogi Berra, I'd probably go for a lower grade because I wouldn't want to pay that much for his cards in these sets in the grade of 6. So the affordability was part of the reason I went as high as a 6, but I didn't buy this card because it's a 5.5. I bought it because it's gorgeous and the price was right. This card came from 707 Sports Cards. I never buy from that company just because their prices seem very high to me. However, I have no reason, hey, more power to them. I hope things are going well for them. Their business has been around for a long, long time. So, they must be doing something right. But I just don't buy from them because their prices seem quite high to me. But I bought this card from them because I thought the price was quite reasonable given the eye appeal. I passed on many 4s, 5s, and 6s, but I couldn't wait to pull the trigger on this Buy It Now because I saw a card that to my liking was superior to every 4, 5, and 6 I've seen probably over the last couple of years. Because the outside of the dresser was in perfect shape. And that's what matters to me. This is what it looks like to collect by eye appeal rather than grade. I won't avoid a high grade if it's affordable and I like the look. And I realize affordable is relative, but if the price is something that's reasonable to me and I like the look. But I also won't avoid a low grade just because it's a lower number. This might just be the most stunning looking Allie Reynolds card in my collection, and it's less than half the average grade. Hey there, little 2.5. You are 6y, very 6y, so 6y, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Thank you, everyone, for sharing in my joy. I hope you had a wonderful and peaceful time in the Vintage Sanctuary. Take care, my friends.